This is the Iowa Racing Report, shining the spotlight on some of the thrills and spills of another week of excitement. And here's another fast run through some of tonight's fun. And thank you for joining us for week 4 of the Iowa Racing Report. We do have a lot of ground to cover this week, including some unfinished business with action from double features tonight at the State Fair Speedway in Des Moines, and also the Saturday night action from the World of Outlaws at the Knoxville Raceway. Also coming up later in the show, a racing conversation with Mick Trier, the new promoter at the State Fair Speedway in Des Moines, plus the highlight of the week and a trip to the rec room. But right now, after a stormy week, let's get to some rain-free racing with Rod Bothold and the Speedway Spotlight.
And we start the show with the nightcap from a double dip of racing last weekend at the State Fair Speedway in Des Moines. And let's get right to the good stuff, starting with the 360 sprints, where the 23 of Ed Roeder 360s coming out of turn 4 and then gets right back in the hunt. But it's Larry Ball Jr. who owns the show up front, pulling away in the 5J. A couple laps later, more spinning out. That's Roger Short in the midst of the Dust Bowl as he spins and gets going again. And then Mike Thomas spins out and brings out the yellow. Off the restart, Darren Doty makes one more run at the 5J. But Larry Ball Jr. is too much on this night as he holds on to win the 360 feature. Up next, the late models, and Dave Schrader leads it early in the 71, but here comes Craig Jacobs on the low side, taking the 95 into the lead. But the yellow flag flies with this two-car spin and wreck. And we are headed for a restart. A couple laps later, that's Darrell DeFrance on the move, moving the 99D into third. DeFrance later makes it around Schrader and into second. But no one will catch the 95 of Craig Jacobs as he cruises to the late model feature win. Bring on the stock cars, and that's Mark Elliott setting the pace early in the 12 car. Then comes trouble, and out comes the yellow. Off the restart, Elliott is back in front, but there is quite a fight for second. Finally, the 2B of Tim Baker wins that battle. And then there's the rough ride as Don Killen gets bounced in turn 2. Back up front, Elliott has opened up a big lead while Nevins is going low around Baker and into second. But Nevins has to settle for second this time around as Mark Elliott wins the stock car feature. On come the modifieds, and Bill Davis Jr. is leading the pack. But the big battle is for second. And Jeff Gorman wins it, taking the 03 high side and into second. Then Gorman sets his sights on Davis as the 03 and the 1 car ride side by side. Finally, Davis goes low and gets by Gorman and takes back the top spot. Then, after a flurry of cautions, this one finishes under the yellow checkers, and your winner is Bill Davis Jr. And we close the show with a couple of hobby stock highlights, starting with Jimmy Gustin in the 19 Junior. Gustin owns it early and never lets up. That's Mark Chance riding second in the 3C, but he will get no closer than that as Jimmy Gustin dominates hobby stock feature number 1. And in the finale, Bill Bonnet is in the 19, and he is flying into first, with several of his closest friends in hot pursuit. Several hobby stock mishaps on this night. But everyone's all right, and Bonnet dodges all the bullets on his way to Hobby Stock Victory Lane. And let's make a quick stop at the Boone Speedway, where there were some wild rides last night, including a cruiser collision that almost means lights out in turn 4. The drivers and the pole were okay. The lights will need to be changed. In feature action, lots of contact in the stock car showdown. But Rick Brown survives to grab the checkers. And John Logue wins an exciting modified feature. We'll have all the highlights and a complete report on next week's show. I'm Rod Bothold for the Iowa Racing Report.
And coming up, it's outlaw action on the Iowa Racing Report. And welcome back to the Iowa Racing Report. Now, last week we had the Friday night feature fun from the World of Outlaws at the Knoxville Raceway. So how about some Saturday night suspense? It's back with the World of Outlaws in the Speedway Spotlight. On Friday, Danny Lasowski in the 83 was a tough act to follow, winning the feature and leaving the Saturday sprint car question, could the dude do it again?
Can you make it a sweep tomorrow night?
We're sure going to try. You know, it's 25 laps, and we'll just see what happens.
And a Super Saturday sets the scene. But before the Outlaws, some other drivers were out to win. So let's get it going with an exciting 360 feature, where the 2-car of Dwight Snodgrass bolts into the early lead. The 16H of Jeff Haynes runs into trouble, rolling his car. Jeff was okay. Back on track, it's still Snodgrass out in front, but the 86 of John Carney makes it a race. After some fast fun, Carney takes over the top spot. But soon, here comes the one of David Hesmer, and it's more side-by-side excitement. Finally, Hesmer hustles in front. The 14 of Randy Martin wheels into third place. Late in the race, Carney comes up to challenge again. But John Carney has to settle for second as David Hesmer gets the win. And that sets the stage for more Saturday excitement with the World of Outlaws and some serious sprint car speed. Early on, Danny Lasowski outraces Stevie Smith in the 19 car for the lead. While Lasowski holds the top spot, the 1BK of Johnny Herrera races into second place. But the hard charger is in another one car as Sammy Swindell takes over the runner-up spot and challenges the dude. Herrera stays in third, while the 5M of Mark Kinzer is making a move in the fourth spot. But up front, it's a two-sprinter race. And finally, on the 18th lap, Swindell makes it stick. And while Lasowski stays in second place, the race belongs to Sammy Swindell. A blue streak on Saturday, all the way to the feature win. And it It was great racing at the Raceway last night with plenty of Knoxville thrills. And after some fantastic finishes, Jeff Haynes takes the 16H from the pole to victory lane in the 360 class, while the 55 of Skip Jackson also wins from the pole in the 410 division. A complete report coming up on next week's show. Let's check in now with some racing results on the IRR scoreboard. Let's put the fans in the spotlight with FanCam. For many, Mick Trier is a familiar face and voice in Central Iowa. Trier is a radio and TV sportscaster, but Mick has also made his mark in racing. This season, Trier is the new promoter at the State Fair Speedway in Des Moines. And tonight, Mick Trier is off track. Tell us a little more about your background in racing, how you got involved in this sport, and why you keep coming back to it and keep promoting it and keep being involved.
Got started when I helped my Uncle Johnny Babb from Ottumwa, Iowa as a pit crew member, then got into the announcing part. Announced all over the state of Iowa, whether it was Oskaloosa, Webster City, all over the state of Iowa. Did it 4 or 5 nights a week, did like 80, 90 shows a year. And then decided that maybe I couldn't do the announcing forever, so I got into the promoting. Had a couple of racetracks, one the Hamilton County Speedway in Webster City, one up in Rock Rapids. I had a partner by the name of Bill Rice. Him and I had that for a couple of years. Then Everett Sather came along, wanted to go in partnership with me at the Stewart Speedway. We took it over, rebuilt the place, took us 7 years, finally got that thing really doing well, and that brings me to the Iowa State Fair Speedway.
How exciting is it for you now to be involved with the fairgrounds again, with the tradition that track has in Des Moines and also the potential that it has to be a really, really fine race facility?
Been looking at trying to be the promoter at the Iowa State Fair Speedway for many years. It's a plan that I put in place about 7 years ago to try and become the promoter, and it finally came about. Very excited. I came here when I was a kid, 14 years of age, came to many races here during the fair with my Uncle Johnny Babb, and now have the opportunity to promote races here. And it's a challenge. It's certainly a challenge to try and get fans to come back to the racetrack here, to continue to grow the car count, and I think it'll happen. Just to give you an idea, when I talked to Kathy Root of IMCA, and I says, Kathy, if I get this racetrack, I want IMCA sanctioning. And she says, Mick, the Iowa State Fair Speedway is the premier late model track in Iowa, and it is the premier track in Iowa. It's got a beautiful grandstand, a beautiful racetrack. They're fast. It's a fast track on the long front stretch and back stretch. And it's a nice track, and we just need to get more people to come out and experience it. We've lost some fans out here, and we need those fans to come back.
This is the Des Moines Auto Racing Association's State Fair Speedway Salute. And tonight's driver in the spotlight is Russ Gladson. Russ drives the number 36 Modified. For more information on the Des Moines Auto Racing Association, check out the website. And here's a Des Moines Auto Racing Association reminder. Coming up September 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the State Fair Speedway in Des Moines, it's the Driver's Dream Race hosted by the Des Moines Auto Racing Association. This is the Iowa Racing Report Driver of the Week. And tonight, let's meet stock car and modified driver John Hunnell.
We've been watching it for several years. Friends and I decided it looked like a lot of fun from the stands, and we'd give it a try. This is my 5th year in it, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of money, but it's fun. Had one feature win here and one feature win at Eldora. Came real close to a couple out here, led them for 12 or 13 laps. Lost it on the last lap, but did real good. Finished 5th in points in Des Moines, 3rd in points at Eldora, 5th in Oskaloosa. We ran a little bit down in Texas and finished 3rd down there. Did pretty good overall. Last year, a friend of mine let me drive his modified one night at Eldora, and I started in the rear of my heat race and won the heat and was up to 3rd in the feature before I got tied up in a big crash and decided that was pretty fun, so I thought I'd give her a try. We're going to try 2 in a row out here and run both classes. So save your money up and get started in a street stock, and when you get her figured out, just gradually work your way up. Just the thrill of the speed.
And let's roll over to the Knoxville Raceway Driver of the Week, brought to you by the Knoxville Raceway. And tonight, let's salute 410 class racer Scott Whitworth.
We're real lucky. We got Guy's Snack Foods out of Liberty, Missouri for a sponsor on our car, and then I'm going to drive Lonnie Parsons' car at Knoxville, which is sponsored by Casey's General Stores, so we're going to get to do a lot of racing this year. We'd really like to win the Knoxville Track Championship and then travel, try to win a few outlaw shows, and just do the best we can wherever we go.
Breezy, talk a little bit about the Knoxville Raceway. What makes that place so special? It's great for the fans and the drivers, but in a driver's mind, what makes it so great?
Well, it's nice and wide. You know, there's plenty of room to race. You know, if you have to start real deep, you can still get through there. And it's the best sprint car facility I've ever been to in my life. It's clean, it's nice, the officiating's good. It's just the best place to race sprint cars in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Is it tough to adjust to other tracks after you get used to a place like Knoxville?
Yeah, it is, because you got to be smooth and straight at Knoxville, and you come to some other places and you kind of got to cowboy up a little, but it's fun to race them all.
What's the best part about sprint car racing for you? Obviously, you've been a successful guy, but what's the best part?
The thing I like about it is you get to meet a lot of good people, like the Young family. They're just the people we've met. I love that, and it's just a great sport. I mean, there's a lot of professionalism in it, but yet everybody, you know, still treats you as a friend, you know, and it's just a great family sport.
And coming up, more hard-hitting highlights on the Iowa Racing Report. Let's line up some racing news and notes in a segment we call The Report. First of all, to the folks at the tracks, we need your results by 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday in order to get them on the IRR scoreboard. And thanks to all the people at the tracks that have been sending in those results so far this season. And also, one of the highlights of our week was winning the Golden Wheel Award from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum's Real Wheel Film Festival in Knoxville. The Iowa Racing Report did win as the best regional TV show, so thanks to Tom Schmay and all the people at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame that worked so hard in putting on that film festival. And now, let's get to the starting line of our other highlight of the week. This is the Hawkeye Racing News Highlight of the Week. First of all, let's salute the moms that make racing possible. After all, a little support can go a long way. So, happy Mother's Day. Also, here's a highlight from IMCA late model racer Craig Jacobs in the 95 machine, the winner of the first late model feature race at the State Fair Speedway in Des Moines this season. To subscribe to Hawkeye Racing News, call 1-800-472-4006. And here's a quick check of an upcoming event. And this Tuesday, it's the Deary Brothers Summer Series for IMCA late models on the pavement at Hawkeye Downs in Cedar Rapids. Let's take a look at some rec room racing and some highlights the hard way. And that is a racing wrap for this week's Speedway Sideshow. For the entire Iowa Racing Report team, have a good night.